Welcome, everybody. This is the session on marketing automation and opportunities for publishers. Our speaker is Barry Green, who is president of CircExperts. Barry's been in the B2B publishing industry for more than 40 years, and most recently he was vice president, director of circulation and audience development at Hearst Business Media. And before that, I think he just heard he was a BPA, or started his career there. But he's been involved in B2B publishing for a long time, and he has some real insights onto what the opportunities are for publishers really using data from marketing automation. So with that, welcome, Barry.
Thank you, Luis. For those of you I haven't met, you don't know what to expect. The others probably do and are seeing where the exit doors are. Anyway, marketing automation and opportunities for B2B publishers. And obviously, that's an all-encompassing term. I hate definitions of what is marketing automation, what is an integrated database, what is whatever you want to call it, because anybody that has any portion of something involved in a topic will say, oh, we do that. And it's very difficult to separate what's real, what isn't, what makes sense for you, what makes sense in the general industry perception, what makes sense for your business or for your customer's business. It's a whole, I have trouble. I walk through the show exhibit halls, and I feel that everybody that talks to you and presents to you about what they know, what they do, and what their, quote, systems or raison d'etre. Anybody speak French in here? No. Raison d'etre?
Yes.
Is that? Wow, okay. Yeah. Wow. I was listening to, I've seen something for an ad for the new Rosetta Stone. How you're supposed to learn a language in a half hour or something. Yeah, it's great. I heard parlez-vous. So anyway, and I feel that it's great that everybody feels that they are the one and only provider who really knows what they're doing, does it right, does it at a great price, and is the best supplier for you. So I'm not shilling for anybody, and I have no something in the game or whatever. The idea is to know what's happening, what the processes are, what the possibilities are, and take it from there. I read over the rest of the brochure and the other sessions that are being provided on the rest of one more today and Tuesday and Wednesday, and they really flesh out. And I think this is a good introduction to what can be, what it exists, and what can be, done further on. What's his name? Luis spoke about my resume, so I mean we could basically skip over that. My friend Sean Fulton in the back put the last item on the, I'm the only person in this room that who was portrayed by Tom Hanks on Saturday Night Live 2 years ago, October. So if I look familiar, fine. If I don't, fine. I only appeared before 65 million people, and then he did this skit on Saturday Night Live. We don't need to spend that much time on it. If you want, you can check it out on YouTube. That was the presidential town hall debate with Obama and and Barry Obama. And just that one of my clients, one of my publications that I represent, I do circulation consulting. I come from the background, as said from the beginning, having been at BPA. Next month will be 45 years ago that I started at BPA. Things have changed, obviously, dramatically. Uh, those of us old dinosaurs, we can't swear that it's changed for the better, but it's obviously evolved to continue into the next millennium. So just a brief history about the publication I'm talking about, who utilizes this marketing automation vehicle and what they do with it. The magazine is now called Supply Chain Brain. It started in 1991. Keller Publishing was an international publisher and originally started as a vehicle for foreign trade zones and was converted to global logistics and supply chain strategies. I have a little cold, so I'm a little under the weather. So any words I mispronounce, if they come out very vulgar, I didn't mean it. So please don't hold it against me. And supplychainbrain.com, the website, was launched in 1999. The print publication was rebranded as Supply Chain Brain in 2007. And since then, basically after 2007, they inverted their model of advertising sales, if you will, to their customers and said, it's not print-centric, it's the other stuff, online. They basically, instead of charging for a print package, print advertising package and saying, we'll throw in these online additional events or, marketing tools and whatever, they changed it to be, we'll charge you basically the same amount and call it an online incorporated package. Those of us who went through that time, you know of the meetings that transpired by the publisher and the sales manager and the advertising, whatever, to say, well, how do we do this? Well, we have to do this as you, this, how do I do that? Oh, that was good. Salespeople, you have to be knowledgeable in all facets of what we offer. And they said, okay, it's a print, it's not a print package anymore, it's a total package revolving around all of the online contacts, if you will, or contact points, and it includes, in the price, the print package. So be that as it may, you have to decide what you want to spend and what you want to spend or what you want to be involved in the whole pack. Shut. The whole package. Again, it doesn't turn when I turn my paper. Wow.
Sorry.
Where is technology when you need it? God. Oh, as I was saying before, terms. One of the greatest terms that's come about in the last 10 years, as I mentioned it before, was integrated database. Oh, yeah, we have an integrated database. We can tell you that Barry Green gets our magazine, so that's good. He requested it, that's good. He also gets one of our newsletters, oh, that's good. And he attended, maybe you could say he also purchased a print newsletter, which were, part of the package in those times, in those olden times. I got to tell you a story. I'm sorry, so you'll get out well, if I keep telling you about the story, you'll get a minute and a half later instead of 30 seconds later. But I remember driving out from the city with then my boss at Hearst Business Media. And we had attended a BPA conference talking, at the keynote speaker at the luncheon said, and I've never forgotten the topic, don't be roadkill on the, it was either internet highway or the information superhighway. Oh, great, thank you. Someone older than 20. Because that was like 25 years ago. So anyway, I remember riding out with him and I said, Bill, this whole internet web stuff is never going to amount to a hill of beans. And, you know, he listened and told me, he said, who's going to want a computer in their home? Who has a computer in their home? Who's going to want this PC Junior? Do you remember PC Junior with Charlie Chaplin? Oh, no, IBM came out with PC Junior, a computer, a personal computer in your house. Yes, that's happening. So that's how forward-thinking I was. And I've had to get out of, being stuck in the mind warp. Basically, marketing automation is an automated series of processes that occur based on the user's interactions that lead them to a specific goal within your website, offerings, resources, whatever. The kind of like a sales funnel, because you can, by utilization of marketing automation, you can take prospects away from just being a casual surfer and nurture them. That's such a good word. Nurturing them through a sales funnel, turning them into a purchaser of brand products that they probably want and should be purchasing according to your offerings. It's also a powerful tool if you have paid, if you have a paid environment where you have paid products that you want to tell somebody about, and based upon the points that they've touched in your offerings or on your website and etc. You can tell them that they should purchase this because obviously that's the whole the whole point of B2B publishing is you want to provide information to your audience. And I was sitting there, actually I never thought about it this way, but I shouldn't say where I was at the time, but I was thinking of this, think of the word, like a diagram, but it's not a diagram. It's kind of like one hand washes the other. And when I first started in the business at BPA and trying to explain to people what you did, and B2B publishing and media is so different from our cohorts at, quote, magazine consumer publishing. And I realize that they have their job to do and we have our job to do. But our job to do is to furnish information that people can utilize in their daily activities and utilize it to improve their position in their company, improve their company's position in the whole gestalt of things. That's German, not French. So I pronounced it sort of right. And, so we're there to provide this material. And then, on the other side, we have advertisers. As people used to say to me, well, I don't understand. If you have a free magazine that you're printing and mailing out to people, how do you do that? How can you afford to do that? Well, there are the advertisers who want to reach these people in these markets, in these segments. And all you did was tell them, he works at a place that has 100 employees and they manufacture widgets. Oh, yeah, well, that's great. I certainly want to advertise to them. And then you'd worry that your competitor had in one box on your BPA or ABC statement or AAM statement, one box that says we have 137 people who are chief engineers, but you only have 132 of them. And you'd hear, that was outrageous. How could you have 5 fewer chief engineers at a company of 100 employees? Whatever. But the fulfillment of the information kind of is like one hand washing the other, and the business media, business publisher provides the soap. And they wash their hands and do whatever they need in the other, what they need in the equation. I thought it was an interesting jolt out of the blue, but maybe it's because I have a cold. Anyway, automation, I have to do that every time. Automation drives revenue for the publisher. Obviously, that's the key to it all. Of 200 advertisers per year, 80% purchase value packages from Supply Chain Brain. They consist of a combination of more or less 30 different advertising elements, components, resources, whatever. Each value package, it's weighted based upon 4 major components. Branding, like print, banners, ads, obviously. Site traffic, banner clicks, material that is generated by content available to the reader or audience member. Lead generation, which we'll talk about more fully, and custom publishing like microsites and other offerings specific to, obviously, the specific advertiser. Lead generation leads. Luis, what'd you do today? Lead generation leads the way. All right, I did that just to wake you all up. Anyway, advertising programs, almost all the advertising programs for Supply Chain Brain include lead generation as an ultimate priority. Obviously, that's what we're in business to provide to our advertisers. They focus on advertiser-supplied white papers and webinars that can be reached off of the website. Premium opportunities like video series with thought leader interviews presented against PowerPoint slides that pop up based on the video sponsor. Lead generation alone accounts for between 15 to 35% of Supply Chain Brain's total revenue each year. As many publishers, quote, publications still face, the majority of revenue, and I keep saying still, is over, majority, over 50% of revenue is still in print, or print items, etc. But the world is turned, obviously. The world's turned immensely in the last, when I poo-pooed the internet 20 years ago. I got it here.
I want to point it to the back.
Towards the back? That way? Good. What does it take? The advertiser signs an integrated deal for print and banner advertising. White papers are uploaded to a gated area of the website. Webinars are conducted, in our case, via a third-party provider, and the webinars are archived on the website. This is not all brain surgery, but it's important that all of these items be included in the whole sphere of things. Videos, we have video series shot at regional locations on topics that advertisers obviously have indicated they want to sponsor. Videos are uploaded to the SCB site with a 2-screen player, and timing is set for advertiser slides so that they show against relevant parts of the interview. You're a magician. How does it work? Well, obviously, again, multiple email blasts are sent to targeted subscribers from, I can't get that out of my, from the audience database. Banners and text ads on email newsletters drive traffic to lead gen resources. Banners on Supply Chain Brain website drive traffic to sponsored resources. Each resource has related videos, white papers, and webinars listed below it to cross-promote traffic for the advertisers. Heavy SEO with Google, Bing, and other search engines to drive traffic to content-rich portions of the Supply Chain Brain website. Generation of the leads. You know, newsletter leads and links are leaks. Newsletter links are encoded with the user's identification, so registration is not required even though the resources may be gated. Persistent first-party cookies mean there's no login on subsequent visits. Device signatures, or better said to my brain, is signatures of the devices used to get the information of who is looking at the information, the resource. They allow a replacement of cookies even if the user deletes them. So the registration page is linked to the publication. It's linked to the subscription page, which incorporates also e-newsletters and all the real-time products that are offered or requested by the user, so that there's one component of all of the items. You can obviously pick and choose what you want to do. And most importantly, as in any system that anybody talks to you about, deduping. Good. Thrown for a loss for words, Mike. Anyway, the deduping is severely important. You've got to have a system that can track not only by an email address, because the problems with email addresses are, does anybody here have less than 3 email addresses? Or as the time comes where there's like, does anybody have less than 10 email addresses maybe? And if you change a job, if your subscriber changes a job, then more than likely, if they were giving you the business email address, then it would have changed and it wouldn't match up, etc. The edit profile page allows users to subscribe to newsletters or print publications while registering for any other resource. Every subscriber touchpoint, digital edition, registration, email opt-outs, anything, sets an identification cookie, and that grabs the signature of the device, if you will, that the audience member is using to contact and see your information. Very few logins exist, even on gated resources. You don't need to have people trying to remember their username and password once you've gotten them into the entire thing. Now, getting the leads, this is obviously so important. For the advertisers, it's good to provide a self-service dashboard which allows the advertisers to log in and download leads. That's great. Also, I like to skip over one and say it's also beneficial for high-quality leads to be emailed to the sponsors or to the advertisers in real time. Because I know advertisers are as busy as we are. And I know how many times I've had a service or provider who says, oh, you know, you can go in at any time and look at anything. And that's great. But sometimes I forget to do that on what should be a routine basis. And maybe I'm not the poster boy for that. But if you send it out frequently or whatever, so they get it, and they can either act upon it now or go into the dashboard and get the leads they want. And as it says here, high quality leads are submitted to the advertiser. Lower quality leads are dumped. And you know, there's an equation that you have to work out to say, well, I don't want you dumping every record that you don't consider. Obviously, it's a business decision. What is considered a good prospect, a good lead? Leads are scored based on advertiser-specific criteria, such as company size and job title, but much more than that you can gather over the course of time. All leads, as I said before, I guess, are archived in the database for self-service access by the sponsor. Did you have a point?
Yeah, your answer part of it, I was getting to what criteria would qualify for a lead in the advertiser dashboard. Does the reader have to take any particular action, or is it just their demographics or both?
Well,
What's your
I think we'll get into it. It's a conglomeration. I love that word. It's a great word. Conglomeration of all of the touch points that you offer. Obviously,
Is it based on scoring?
yeah, well, it's scoring like, and as we'll say later on, we can track how long someone spent on a banner ad, and then what actions they took after that banner ad, and what they did from a white paper looking for information on a certain type of product. And, you know, that's how you have to provide it. But I think from the advertiser perspective, as we do, we want, as we provide, is we want to serve the type of person in the type of industry and, you know, the type of functional discipline, if you will, that matches what the advertiser is looking for to sell to. I don't think there's anything specific, but we could talk about that at any point, if you like. After, Luis, what did you do to me? Good. Results by the numbers. Since 2008, SCB has served more than 204,000 leads to 172 sponsors, so that's about 1,200 leads per sponsor. 2,600 resources have been provided within the whole concept of supplychainbrain.com. What an idiot. Huh. Let's see. Good. I'm getting good at this. More than 1,000 sponsored videos have been presented, and approximately 100 leads per day are generated. And I know you know that what's it? I didn't touch it. It's spooky now. What's ahead for SCB? One of the important items we think is targeting banner ads to specific identified readers, utilizing the information we have as to what they do and what they've done. So, for instance, if you have a medical publication and you're reaching physicians, I know a friend of mine has this and does this, and they say, in their case, I mean, it's so specific and you can realize exactly what it is they're doing. But they say, if you have a product like Viagra, they put a banner ad up for certain types of specialists, but the advertiser doesn't even pay the publisher or the publication, whatever, for any lead to a pediatrician, obviously. So they can segment that banner ad never appears on a I don't know what I have dietitian on. A pediatrician. No pediatrician will get that banner ad for that product. And it's also useful to the audience member, whatever the business may be, to not be bothered with banner ads for products they don't utilize or can't be bothered with. We can measure the amount of time each banner is in view. As long as they didn't fall asleep at the computer, that's a good number. If it gets into the hundreds of minutes, something's wrong. We have the ability to tell advertisers who saw each banner and for how long they saw each banner, obviously. The ability for advertisers to run their own reports for banner, newsletter, and resource sponsorships. And the advertiser can visualize the traffic flow from sponsored newsletters, web pages, and other resources. I have a slide coming up that shows you a visualization, if you will, in real time of what's happening on your website in the whole of every information point you can provide. But it all revolves around supply, in our case, obviously. It all revolves around supply chain brain. When we were, why don't I skip forward 2 slides? Because I'd like to show you a visualization page. Now, you can actually see this out in the exhibit hall, and just saying that it's good to look at it in real time. This is obviously not real time, and I didn't want to take the chance of getting into the internet and looking at it and then something not happening, whatever. But this actually shows you right now that there were, this was a minute ago, 156 known active users, 501 unknown users. There's the seconds and total page views. The traffic overview says that 1,676 users, I don't know in what time frame, of the everything that's going on, of the 1,676 users, recirculated going back through and through different points in supply chain brain. They're about 10%. 40% have been directed by other points or banner ads or things that point them to go to supply chain brain and enter into this web of products. And other 59% are referred, and that's things like Google and other web searches. And obviously, this also shows, and we've whited out or something, the customer, let's say, the number of views, page views for specific items, and this 10,236 are ad views. So the advertiser and the publisher can both go into this availability and know what's going on at all times. And just to take a couple of back slides. Oh, come on, you can do it. One more. When we were looking, everybody uses their own determination of what they want all the things that go out into looking for a partner. Above all, we wanted a supplier who maintained a transactional platform that would allow data from different data sources, webinars, websites, emails, newsletters, digital magazine readers, etc. Be centralized, securely used by all of our advertiser-based platforms with 100% transparency and verification. Now, this was something I had to be told what it meant. I've always heard of SaaS, and does anybody, bless you, anybody other than Sean know what SaaS stands for?
Software as a service.
Damn, I must have missed that email. Software as a service. We wanted a platform that was software as a service, so that we pay for it in a redundant or monthly billing, and it's just, it's not like, Sean, what's the flip side of saying that? Right. That was easy. I'm going to write that on my copy. We wanted to integrate website, email, and audience database into the system, and that was very important. However, in looking for a supplier, it could also be that the component that we take for this marketing automation, advertising, lead generation, et cetera, can be utilized just for that part of the package. And I, for one, during my many years in the industry, I've taken a liking to some audience development, audience database fulfillment companies that I've respected and liked the work they did and like the fulfillment work they did. And you can have kind of what I call a win-win situation. The reason I'm laughing is my slide has, I must have fallen asleep at the computer, and it has a string of O's and C's and X's. So I'm glad you got the good one. So if you have a vendor that you want to work with, you can do that side of the business for the audience database development, which used to be the only thing that really mattered, and attach another wing to it to provide this information for your advertisers. And it was important to have the analytics and lead generation capabilities, the ability to convert those unknown users into known users. I wasn't going to say something stupid like, well, it would be stupid to do it the other way. But the ability to target ads based on identity and a real-time data platform. That's, the key to everything has evolved over time to real-time. And there was a time when, if you really, really, really studied it, real-time didn't matter that much. But now, in this ever-changing world in which we live in, makes you give and try to live and advertise and promote. So that's when I skip through the next two slides, the end of the presentation. If you have any specific questions that I can answer or can get some further information to you, let me know. I think, as I said before, this is a good kicking off point to many of the other sessions that are coming, to put them into perspective of how to get from A to Z. And there's obviously 24 more steps between A to Z. But it's important to take the time to go through them and be, again, a win-win situation for your advertisers and your companies. So, is there anything anyone wants to say? It's now almost 4:20. Oh,
I want you to repeat the question too, please.
I selected one count, GCN Publishing. They're out there as well as other providers.
Off of that, who else did you consider?
I think that would be something I'd want to talk offline about. And, because who else did we consider? And, having been through the trenches, you could talk to somebody and you could have a simple thing as like someone didn't get along with someone else and you didn't want to work with them anymore, and you would never recommend them to anybody. So it's difficult to say that, but that was a good catch. I think the points in the discussion will kind of lead you to what you need to be offered as part of the package, and see if all of the details mesh and whatever. You could, I mean, I'll, give you my card or whatever. We could talk offline, but yeah, I don't want to stay